run through your vacation spreadsheet assignment. This will mostly just be a completion assignment. I'm going to talk you through everything, walk you through it, but I do want to see that you did take the time to complete it. And you'll have a copy. You'll see down here, you'll have a copy when you open this up that you'll have to fill everything in. Just want you to go through the motions so you remember how to do all these steps, or if you've never seen them before, so you learn how to do it. These are just some spreadsheet basics. So if you open up the directions, first of all, it tells you everything we're going to do. And then the actual spreadsheet is the next thing. So the first thing it says is that everything should be money. So let's change and make these all dollar values. So the first thing it tells you to do is take all of the amounts in here and make these dollars, since they're the amount of money you spent. So select all the numbers, and since these should be dollars, go up and find the dollar symbol here and click on it, and it turns everything into dollars right away. Remember, the whole point of spreadsheets is the computer can do things really fast, and especially if it's something you got to do over and over and over, like write a dollar sign. So let the computer do the work for you. That's really the whole point of this. All right, second thing, the 190-126 in meals should actually be an excursion, so we want to move that. Okay, so we can erase it, we can type it, that's the long way. Quick way to do it, click on that number. When you see a little blue box come up, move the mouse so it's kind of on the edge, anywhere on the edge, and a little hand should pop up. If you click there, try that again. If you click, it'll kind of make a fist where it's grabbed it, and just hold down your mouse and you let go, it'll move it to where you want to set it down. So I moved it over to excursions because that's what it asked me to do. Okay, the hotel is the same rate for 5 weekdays. Repeat the cost. So here we've got this hotel price for 1 day. I want to do it for 5 days. So I can type that number in 4 more times. That's the long way to do it. Anytime you click on a box, or click on a number, you'll see a little box pop up in the bottom right corner here. All right, so the mouse, let me give you a little background on what the mouse is going to do. It's a few things it can do. It can be a pointer, which is just to select, that's it. It can be the hand if you get on the edge of the box, and that's to move things. And if you get on this little box in the bottom right, it turns into a little crosshair plus sign looking symbol. All right, so when that comes up, that's how we can copy what's in a cell. So that's the little box right there. That'll help you copy what's in a cell. So if I want to do this 4 more times, go to that bottom corner right there and click on it and drag it down. And when you let go, it'll copy that 4 more times. You can drag it down as far as you want, but the directions said to do that for 5 days. Okay, find the total amount spent for each category. So I'm going to show you, I'll post on here also some spreadsheet shortcuts, or kind of a cheat sheet for just formulas we'll use quite a bit. And this is going to be your first formula. So to get the total amount spent, all right, well, if you're going to do that by hand, you add all these up. Okay. So easy way to remember that formula, what do you call the answer to an addition problem? Okay, that's a sum. So the command's going to be sum. And anytime you tell the spreadsheet to do a formula, you have to hit equals. That's just kind of the code way it interprets things. And actually, this one's smart enough that it popped up there and said, do you want to do a sum of these things? And you can click on that if you want to. I'm going to type it just so you see what to do. So equals sum. And then I highlight all of the boxes I want to add together. Okay. And hit enter, and it adds them up for me. All right, we're supposed to do that for every category. So let me go back, and here's the long way. I can type equals sum again, and make sure you open a parenthesis. I don't think I mentioned that. Make sure you open a parenthesis after the word. And I can highlight all of these. Okay. Now here's a little shortcut. I'm going to hit escape to undo what I just did. If I grab this little box, I said it copied a minute ago. It can do some other things too. It's pretty smart about knowing what it thinks you're supposed or trying to do. So since this was a sum of this column, if I drag this over, it'll add up all of these numbers. All right. And I can keep going and get it to add up every category. And that'll save a lot of time right there. Okay, percentages. Okay, so I made the video in the last assignment about percentages. Make sure you remember how to do those. So let's make a formula so we can do this one time, not use a calculator, and get this done. And you shouldn't use a calculator at all with the spreadsheet. The computer can do everything way faster. It can do everything a calculator can do, I promise. And you can do it way faster. It's a much better processor. So you use the spreadsheet to do the math. Don't be pulling out a calculator to do your math. Okay, so we want to know the percent for each category. Okay, well, I need to know the total I spent, I guess. So let's see. Make sure I didn't skip over anything. Yeah, I should probably get that total. I'll add that to your instructions. Make sure you get the total for the vacation there. Well, I need to add up everything. So there's a couple ways I can do that. I'm going to do equal sum to show I'm going to add things up. I can add up all the categories I've spent, or I can select what's called a field and just take all of these numbers. Either way is fine. I think I'm actually going to do the 5 category totals down here. Either way is good. There's the total I spent on the vacation. We'll need that total to get a percent. So I'm going to do percent. All right, well, how do I find a percent? I take the item, the category that I spent money on, and divide it by the whole. So in this case, total vacation. So equals, now here's the long way to do it. That was a 520, 58. Uh-oh. It's coming up as a percentage. Let me make sure that it doesn't automatically do a percentage for you here. So let's see, equals 520.58 divided by the total, which is 1972.17. Okay, that works. But that's a long way around. I don't want to do that every time. So I can type equals, and I can click on the cell that's got the number in it. There's a couple reasons why you really want to do it this way. One, it's easier. So that should be your main reason. But the other thing is, what if, tell you what, let me go back to what I just had here. So what if I forgot a receipt for a meal and that was an expensive one? It was $81. Okay. Well, the total didn't change, but it should have because I actually spent more money than I thought. So for the sum here, let's maybe go down one more row so that we get that total in there. Okay. Now it's including the total, but my percent didn't change. That's not good because that would have changed my percent that I spent on meals. So that's not looking very good. But if I do it this way, let me kind of start back over. If I click on this cell, instead of typing that number in there, so the part divided by the whole, okay, get the same answer, but watch this. If it turns out I forgot a receipt and I go back and add it later, keep an eye on this percentage down here when I hit enter. It changes automatically. So it makes your life way easier more than in a couple of ways. One, you don't have to keep typing numbers over and over. And two, if you go back and change things, which happens, then it's already updated for you. You don't have to go back and redo any math. So again, don't use your calculator. It's going to take you a whole lot longer. Use these shortcuts. That's going to save you a whole lot of time. Okay. Now, if I want this to be a percent, just like I made this dollars, go up here and click on the percent. There you go. And if you're okay with the decimals there, it's fine. You can have more decimals or fewer decimals if you click on these decimal buttons here. I think that's good enough for what we need. All right, so hopefully you got some wheels turning now and you're thinking, all right, well, for the totals, I could just click that box and drag it across and knew what I was expecting. Let's try that and see what happens. Huh, that wasn't quite what I expected. So anytime something like that happens that you're not really expecting, don't flip out and erase it and go crazy. Just click on the cell, and up here in this bar, the f of x just means it's a function. That's just like from algebra. So here's what your calculator, here's the math your calculator is doing. That's what that basically means. C20, let's kind of trace this out. C20, it's right here. All right, that looks right. That's the part of the total I spent on excursions, divided by H20. Okay, so I'm hoping it's going to be this total number right here. H20 is over there. All right. So what's happening is when you click this little box and drag it over, it's just going one cell to the right. So instead of this one was B20, G20, this one's C20, H20. So this percent, it took the $520 here divided by this total. This one is starting with what we probably want, this 597, but it's dividing by a blank cell over here. We really would like it to always use this total vacation right here. So here's how we can make that happen. I'm going to undo. So I do want, like B20, I want this to change on the next one. I want to use C20 next time. And over here, I want to use D20. But I want to divide by the same total every single time. So we can lock in a cell. And I don't know why the spreadsheet uses a symbol, but this is why I told you not to type a $ in earlier. I think I told you all that. If I didn't, don't type a $ in yourself. Always click this if you want to use dollars. But a $, for whatever reason, use that to lock a cell in. So if I want to always divide by this vacation total right here, put a $ in front of G and a $ in front of 20. Some of y'all, if you want to get more advanced, you can use $1 and lock in a column or a row, but generally you're just going to use a $1 in front of the column and the row number. G is the column, 20 is the row number. Okay. So now the total for the category will be allowed to change, but I'll always be dividing by G20, which is this total right here. And if I drag that across, we're done. So it might take you a minute to learn that process, but I guarantee you would probably spend more time in the long run taking your calculator out and figuring this stuff out by hand than just learning that process. And then from here on out forever, it'll be really fast. All right, now I'm supposed to add some grid lines for these percentages. The percents here, well, let me take that back. The totals are already in boxes for you. It'd be nice if the percents were also in boxes. So I need to make sure my mouse is a pointer. I'm going to highlight those boxes. And I'm going to go to the little grid up here, kind of beside the paint bucket, it says borders. And you can do whatever you want. You can get as fancy as you like. I'm just going to do the all borders around it. Just kind of a basic box, normal boxes. And now it's kind of, they're contained. It's kind of easier on the eyes to hold the data. It just looks nicer, that's all. Okay, colors help make your chart more readable. Color each category. Okay, so I'm going to come up here in my categories, and I'm going to give each one a color. So that's your paint bucket. Just y'all can make this more creative. I'm just going to go through and just pick a few colors. That's what I'm looking for. You can have fun with that and make it look nicer. Something I'll do a lot of times, I'll just show you this because it just looks kind of nice. I'll do the header in the category in a darker color, and I'll come down and pick one just a little bit lighter for the numbers. Just kind of makes it stand out. And a lot of times, eventually, I'll put everything in some grids. Just kind of makes it look a little nicer. That didn't take. Let's see. There we go. Anything you do to make it stand out, look a little better, it's always good. All right, total vacation should be a color and a border that stands out. So right now, total vacation just kind of blends in with these other numbers. So I want that to really stand out. So let's pick a kind of bright color. You don't have to go that bright, but that makes it stand out for sure. And I want a border that's going to stand out. So I've been using these normal grids. So I'm going to highlight this one. And let's see, I'm going to stick with the all borders. But you can change the color and you can also change the size. So I'm going to come down here and make it a little bit thicker. All right. So now it really stands out on the page. It's very clear that's the total right there. Okay. Make a bar graph using your categories and totals. Okay. So listen carefully because usually you can watch me do this, but you'll just have to kind of listen to what I'm doing. I want to use these category names and I want to use the total amount I spent. So if you think about how you would have done this back in, say, elementary school, you would have taken meals and you would have made a bar that's pretty tall compared to these other ones. It's not the tallest, but it's pretty tall. And you would probably color it the same color as this, and you would put in the total amount you spent. Okay. And just to skip ahead, if I did souvenirs, all right, well, it'd be kind of a short bar because it's the smallest category I spent. And if I did hotel, that would be the biggest bar because that's the biggest category. But this will do it all for us, so we don't have to draw it out. So here's what you need to do. If you want to get these labels on here, which we definitely do. Okay, first of all, highlight those names first. Okay, now you're going to hold the control button down, and same thing on a Chromebook. Anything you're using, hold the control button down. It's on the bottom left of your keyboard. All right, don't let up on that. Highlight these totals, numbers you put in the bar graph. Okay, once you've got that highlighted, now you can let go of the controls. Let go of that. Don't click anywhere else on the screen though, because as soon as you click somewhere else, it all deselects, and that's not good. So go up here to Insert, go to Chart. Now to get it to show up, it's kind of strange. Let me move myself out of the way here a little bit. So right now, I'd kind of like to see some categories down here, which I'm not seeing. The bars look okay. They're looking about where I would have drawn them if I did it by hand. So the reason you do what you click on down here, I don't have good explanation. I like Excel for spreadsheets. I think it's a little easier to use, but since we're on Chromebooks and we're moving to Google, this is kind of how it has to go. So once you have picked the type you want, it came up to a column chart right away, which is what I usually call a bar graph. You can pick the actual bar. You can do some different types of columns, but I'm happy with this. This is good. So under this setup area, go on down the page a little bit. Let's see. So on the setup menu, you might have to click setup to get back out of the bars and pie charts and all that. So this is just kind of how you have to do it. Go down and check this box that says switch rows and columns. Now your colors are going to go away right now. Some people have been able to get the colors back and make them look nice, but it's tricky to do, and I really don't have a good explanation. It's usually a lot of trial and error. If you do know an easy way to do it, share it, and I'll put a video out for everybody to see. So I've got, again, my bars look pretty good. They're all one color now, but that's okay. So if I want to get all those categories, I can click and drag this thing out of the way too, so I can see these categories. So I want that to say meals, I want that to say excursions, and so on. Okay. Now this is likely to happen, so it's a good time to talk about it. My menu went away, so I can come back to the chart and double click, and that menu is going to pop back up. Okay, so I need to be under Setup, and I want X-axis. It says Add X-axis. Okay, I'm going to click on that. This is another thing that's kind of weird. I don't know why it works this way, but it does. You can manually type in the cells you want, but what I found to be easier is just click on this little grid, and you can select the data range. Now, again, you can type in cells, but I think it's easier just to highlight them. Now, it makes sense to just highlight the names. That's what I would do, but watch what happens. Okay, hit OK, I come down. They're off by one spot. I have no idea why. That's the way it does it. So here's the quick fix. Go back to the X-axis where you just were. Go back to the select your data. I'm going to delete all that out. So instead of just getting the names, which makes sense, get the blank box right here, just to the left of your first name, and then highlight all of them. And it usually works. I have no idea why that works that way, but that's generally the way you get it to work. Okay. I also had some information on here to tell you to put your title and axes appropriately. So for a title, go to Customize, and you got title text. You can call it whatever you want. I might say something like total by category. That seems to explain what's going on here pretty well. Because there's your totals, there's your categories. And for your axis, and you can change the font, you can change the color, size, any of that stuff. I got really small. All right. You can do some of this other stuff if you want to play around with it. You don't have to, but I do want you to make sure you understand the horizontal axis. And again, you can change, that's going to be the stuff down here. You can change the order of them. You can change the font again. There's a lot of things you can do with that. And the vertical axis. So just make sure you're okay with how to change those up. And you can change the color if you want to brighten it up a little bit. And in this area, I know you can play around and change the color of the chart too, and make it look nicer if you want to. Just play around with these options, background color, and all that good stuff. I'll let y'all play around with that and see what you come up with. All right. And the last thing is going to be a pie chart. So I'm going to click off of there and scoot this out of the way. Let's see. There we go. Just highlight it and drag. Okay, the last thing was to make a pie chart using categories and totals, same information. So something I've found that makes this work better, and I don't know why, you may not have an issue. The issues kind of come and go, it seems like. Sometimes it helps to highlight the numbers first and then the categories. So highlight your numbers, hold down Control, and then highlight your categories. Basically the same process. Insert chart. And this time instead of column, I'm going to do a pie chart, which sometimes it comes up here automatically. If it doesn't, you can scroll down and find the pie chart. And we'll do the little 3D model like that one. Okay. So sort of the same issue. I've got the percent breakdown here. I'm not seeing the totals, and I'm not seeing the labels. So first thing for labels, let's take the select data range. And same weird thing where you have to get that blank in front of it first. And it should pop up there. There we go. So, and it comes up, it's got the percentages instead of the total numbers there. And honestly, I'm fine. I just want to leave it that way. It gets tricky to try to get all this information on there. So on here, I did say something about using the categories and totals. It kind of defaults to percent. I'm fine with that. If you want to just leave it that way, that's good. All right, I'm just going to slide it out of the way and move it down the page. That's a good way to do it. That way I can see all your information, and I can look at your charts and kind of scroll down, make sure they look good. And I'll be checking just to make sure you filled this in. There is a second part of this assignment, and the way I've planned for you to pace it out is just do this piece today, and then on the second day, you'll do the practice one where you do all this stuff on your own. Okay, so if you want to do it all at one time, that's fine. I'm going to put it on there for the due date where you have 2 days to get all this done so you can kind of pace yourself.